when it comes to that whole issue of pain, look, I have a saying. If you don't have an owie, some like aches and pains by the age of 50, honey, you have not lived. All right, where have you been? Hiding under a rock? I'm in my eighth decade of life and I'm rocking. I feel really, really good. But there are little, aches and pains here and there that sometimes are a little tough. I'm with the Senior Olympics. I'm watching people who are 70 and 80 who overcome all kinds of obstacles. What we now know, thank heavens for Therabody, is that R word, recovery. And as you get older, science has shown you need more and more recovery. And this is where Therabody's tools were absolutely essential for me. When you have back discomfort, and it's probably one of the most ubiquitous sources of pain after the age of 50, you know, you want to be able to have a natural way to address it. So that back massager is out of this world. So I would recommend it to anybody who's got back pain. I've done every single kind of complex, wild and crazy weightlifting thing and all the rest of it. And over the years, and you know what I've really concluded? Keep it simple, will you please? There's one exercise I want every woman to learn how to do. Let's think about this. Getting up off the floor is a push-up. And so to save your life one day, you need to have the strength to be able to do that, especially if you're injured. Getting that whole message out there to a new legion of women, especially, who are just beginning their journey. Lead with self-compassion. I love myself. I forgive myself. I'm going to push forward. I'm simply going to do the best I can. And I'm going to do it with kindness in my heart toward me, for a change.
Welcome. We're Amanda and Gabriella, mother and daughter and founders of Movement Living. We're on a mission to help women live well and age better.
This is the Movement Living podcast. We interview fascinating people who will inspire you to be confident in your skin as you age and share practical tools to make it happen.
Join the thousands of women who receive our free wellness newsletter at movementliving.com. We curate the best of wellness, bringing you fresh ideas and practical tips every Monday morning.
We're so glad you're here.
This episode is presented by Therabody. Therabody is a global leader in wellness technology. And what that means for you is that they make products that will help you live well and age better. Gabriella and I have been fans of Therabody for years. We're excited to introduce you to some of their amazing products.
We know their products are safe, backed by science, and they really work.
In today's episode, we're speaking with Dr. Pamela Peeke, renowned physician, scientist, athlete, and New York Times bestselling author. She's a physician who truly walks the talk when it comes to living well and aging better.
I learned so much from this conversation, especially about the importance of recovery and using the right tools. In my 70s, I know I want to keep getting stronger. Dr. Peeke helped me understand that focusing on recovery is just as essential as the exercise itself.
I also really enjoyed her simple and practical tips on exercises that make a real difference. We hope you take away as much value from this conversation as we did. Dr. Peeke, it is so wonderful to have you here with Movement Living. We're very excited to get to know you, to get to know the work that you do and introduce you to our community. My first question is, what do you love about the age you are right now?
You don't know how old I am. I don't say the word old. I don't even know what that word means. So I either say I'm a certain number of years of age, or I'm writing a new book, and in that book, I use the word bold. Okay, so go ahead, everyone out there, and feel free to be absolutely blown away by the fact that I am 74 years bold.
Bold. That's
All
a good
I
right?
one.
love that. Bold.
Bold. It's
Right.
all about bold and the brave, right? And that's right.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
what's exciting about this? The fact that I'm still here, it's really good. I've reached that point where I'm like, whoa, I'm still here. I wake up in the morning, it's like, whoa, okay, we're still doing this in our eighth decade. It's a real wake-up call for me was the fact that I'm just busy. I love my life. I live my life with meaning and purpose and passion. I kind of rock and roll. And then one day I woke up and I said, oh, well, wait a minute. How old am I? And yeah, it just sort of like it happened in the blink of an eye. Then I looked in the mirror and I said, well, I don't know. I can still lift the weights. I can still be a senior Olympic triathlete. I could still, so I don't know. I think I'm okay. It's all right. And so I'm not your stereotypic woman who is a woman physician, sports medicine expert, and clinical investigator trained at the NIH, who is walking the talk. All right. I don't pontificate. I don't tell you to do something I'm not doing. And so, what I love about this is I'm proof positive that you could keep this party going for many decades. And I was just very fortunate that I was able to start really getting into my physical activity in a more strategic way at a very early age through a lot of serendipity. There's a picture behind me. And in this picture, what you're going to see is the inspiration for the new book that I'm writing. And that is, if you look at it, you'll see a younger person and an older person. And that older person is me. And that younger person is me. And there is a 40-year difference. And most people have never seen anything like that. It's like, well, wait a minute. That younger version of me when I was in medical training is now having a conversation with her future self. And my future self is kind of looking at my younger self saying, girl, if you had only known, there are so many truths, so much new science, and all the rest of it. But what I'm really trying to prove is the fact that if you just stay consistent, stay with it in terms of healthy eating, physical activity. Notice I didn't even use the E word. I happen to be a competitive athlete. You don't have to at all. I just did it because it was fun. I kind of like medals, you know? And if I have to suffer to get one, fine, be that way and even pay for it. But here's the gig. I want people, women, to know that it's completely possible to keep the party going. I did this through all my years of medical training and my years at the National Institutes of Health, and continuing onward. And I think that if people want the fountain of youth, you're staring at it.
Wow, I absolutely agree with you. I'm a couple of years behind. I've started really amping up the weights, the training, everything I can get my hands on. It helps to have been in sports, but I think you can be in anything and just have your mind that, you know what, I'm not going to slow down right now. So thank you for that message. And we'd love to know a little more about how you came to be with Therabody and just your relationship. We'd love to hear about that because we love Therabody.
Well, it's interesting. Uh, Somewhere along the line, one of the things that happens in life is once again just little surprises, really cool things that happen. People knock on your door and they go, we need you. And what I've tended to do in life is, unless it looks really funky, I always say, I raise my hand. It's like a little helium hand that goes up. It's like, yes, yes, we'll do that. A little helium balloon, yes. And so when private equity came along and said, on Wall Street, you seem to be pretty smart. You seem to understand, the landscape of healthcare fairly well. What we'd like to do is tap into your knowledge base and understand how all of this works. And the private equity group that I am absolutely pleased to be working with for so many years was very involved with Therabody, and that's how I came on board, because I've helped with so many really wonderful companies where we've applied science, especially biological sciences and medicine. So that's how I came about. And it's a perfect fit in more ways than you'll ever know, because I've been on the board of the American College of Sports Medicine, the National Senior Games or the Senior Olympics on their board. And the reason why I bring that up is, I mean, we're all about staying physically fit at any age from 15 to 105. And so, uh, how do you support that? You know, nutrition is important. You know, sleep is important. You know, de-stressing is important. You know, companionship and relationships are important, but also, you know, physical activity. And then with physical activity comes that R word, recovery. And I'm going to be honest with you, but as I was coming up the ranks as a competitive athlete, you know, recovery wasn't given even the time of day. You know, actually, you know, I'd finish a marathon and just sort of walk off. I was like, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to do a little stretching and, you know, kind of loosen it up? It was more like, you know, I need to take a bath. So what we now know, thank heavens for Therabody, is that R word, recovery. And as you get older, science has shown you need more and more recovery. I remember the day when I started my years in triathlon. I'd kind of finished up with marathon. I did the Boston Marathon was my last one. And then I just said, you know, I'd like to do more. And so what's wrong with swim, bike, and run? What the heck? You know, let's have some more fun in a big sandbox. So my swim coach looked at me. She's actually a triathlon coach, but she was really working with us in the lake. And as we were finishing up one day, she says, I want to make sure you all know you all need 9 hours of sleep. If you're in direct training, I said, what? 9 hours? And she goes, yeah, it's called recovery. And then I thought, wow, okay. I mean, I hear you loud and clear. I trusted her, and she was absolutely correct. You know, as I've gone through my 60s and now in my 70s, you know, I have great respect for that. And I've modified and amended everything from my weightlifting to the endurance work that I do, so that I incorporate more and more recovery. But I also remembered that I needed tools. I got some muscles that were kind of like, whoa, you know, we need some help here. Hey, they're screaming, talk to me, talk to me. And this is where Therabody's tools were absolutely essential for me.
I really like that insight about recovery, because I think even, you know, regardless of whether you're in that higher performance athletic pursuit or just someone that knows that she needs to be a little bit more active, if you're shifting your activity level, if you're doing more movement, that's going to have a reaction in your body. And if you don't have tools to recover, if you don't know how to recover, you might just think, oh, that doesn't feel very good. Maybe I'm not going to do that anymore. Maybe I'm not going to lift weights anymore because you know, I'm really sore and I don't really have a way of remedying that. So I think the tools of recovery is such a good insight.
You know, recovery is a funny thing. People like to blow things off. You know, they just say, okay, well, I did my weightlifting. Let me out of here. I ran my 10 miles. Let me out of here. It's like, wait a minute. You need to honor the body. You need to know your body and honor it. You got tired and you beat it up. Now, what are you going to do? What are you going to gift your body with, so that your next go around with whatever you're going to be doing, you know, a day or two or three later, is really going to give you some fantastic benefits here. Okay, that's what you want. And so I learned to be much more patient with myself. Patience has never been one of my virtues. I mean, kindness all day long. Okay, I'm there for you. Charity, yeah, well, sign me up. Patience, um, so recovery taught me patience. And boy, did I end up benefiting when I allowed myself appropriate recovery in terms of rest and the rest of it. And at the same time, I used tools. I never knew how to use tools well. Most people don't unless you've had a lot of physical therapy or something. And it's interesting when I have had physical therapy for a little help here and there. I saw the Theragun from Therabody being used everywhere, including on me in the big physical therapy practices. So I thought, well, wait a minute. What do they know that I don't know? I want to know. So one of my favorite things to use is my beautiful Theragun. Okay. And this is absolutely where it's at. I have very muscular thighs and hamstrings, and they love to have a little extra help. And I now look forward to my recovery. I just think it's probably one of the best things ever. And I really encourage people to start paying more attention to that whole issue of rest and recovery.
Oh, that I'm having a major epiphany here because as I have stepped up my program, I am noticing that I am getting more, aches and pains afterward. And yes, I have to incorporate this as part of the cycle because I said to myself, well, I don't want to take painkillers, but I want to keep going. I love being strong and being able to move. And my whole goal is to stay active till I'm 100, right? Really active, independent. So this is a great message because I've been a proponent of Theragun for several years. I've given them as gifts even, but I don't think I've used it quite enough for myself to do what you're talking about, which is recovery, so that we're not in pain all the time.
When it comes to that whole issue of pain, look, I have a saying. If you don't have an owie, some like aches and pains by the age of 50, honey, you have not lived. All right, where have you been? Hiding under a rock? And obviously athletes and dancers and people like that, they've been at it for years and years, and they've been beating up and torturing their bodies for a long time. So by the age of 50, it's like you got some serious arthritis going on, and also your bones and joints and the rest of it. So it's super, super important to really honor the fact that you will have, and we're going to adjust some expectations, you will most definitely have some level of, discomfort here, there, and everywhere because it catches up with you over time. I mean, think about it. I'm in my 8th decade of life and I'm rocking. I feel really, really good. But there are little, aches and pains here and there that sometimes are a little tough. Okay. And, I'll give you an example. As the years have gone on, I'm tall. I have actually an extra lumbar vertebra, go figure. God's gift to me. It's sort of like, here, those look good. Here's another one. And so I'm nice and tall. But it also really hits on my posture and it hits on back pain because I'm using my back a lot. So I've been really careful about that. I'm telling you right now, as the day is long, one of the best things I have ever experienced is this. And this is my secret sauce, Therabody back massager. All right. So what I do is I wrap this around my back, and as I'm doing countless virtual meetings and whatever, It's just humming along, and it gives me just enough support, and that wonderful feeling massage. It has several different kinds of massage. So depending upon what I feel like at that moment, I just, I live with it. And I have gifted it to so many people. Damn thing is sold out half the time. I think it's literally one of their best sellers, and there's a reason why. When you have back discomfort, and it's probably one of the most ubiquitous sources of pain after the age of 50, you know, you want to be able to have a natural way to address it. I'm not into popping pills. I'm much more into just using my body and its own natural rhythms and really trying to aid my muscles, wherever the issue may be. So that back massager is out of this world. So I would recommend it to anybody who's got back pain.
It's interesting. That's a wonderful recommendation. It's interesting. Many of our community have said, if they had an extra $100, they would get a massage. I mean, that is the first and most important priority for everyone over 50, I think. So this could be a really good product for them.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. I like to kidnap a sports massager, and just, keep them in my house in the basement or something. I know it's an evil thought, but it's occurred to me. And it's okay. It's a passing thought. I have never acted on this. But I've had some spectacularly good, massages per se. And obviously those deep sports massages are very different, and I oftentimes will get them after a competition because my muscles are, asking for a little help. But on a day by day basis, when you're just rocking and rolling through life, I mean, I don't need to keep, leaving and having that happen or having them come to my home or, back and forth. It takes time. It's kind of a pain in the noogies. I'd rather just have something right there at my fingertips and just keep it going, you know? And posture is important. What's really important for women, especially to keep in mind, is that, after the age of 50, and most women go into menopause right around like 51, 52-ish, there's a bell-shaped curve. After that period of time, we've got some issues with our bones and we start pitching forward more. And that's the last thing you want to do. So I thank all my years in ballet, for rolling my shoulders back and trying to keep my posture, right? But, the minute I say that to people, I saw you do that, Amanda,
Yeah.
you know, the minute I tell people like, okay, posture, you know how long, seriously, research shows that within 10 seconds, you're right back to the same rotten
Yes.
posture.
Yep.
And so that's why I like having something like that back massager on, because it kind of keeps me completely aware psychologically, of what's going on with the core of my body. Now, here, obviously, is where it helps to be doing all of your abdominal work and your back work. There's a saying, the stronger your abs, the stronger your back, the stronger your back, the stronger your abs. It's a bundle deal. They all come together. So I'm like a crazy person about core work because it'll also help you not pitch forward, which will eventually lead to vertebral fractures, and bad things. So that's why it's super important to just simply stay with the program here and make certain that you're always aware, self aware. One of the best ideas, this is in my new book, so, teaser alert. Um, when I was at the Equinox Club, up in Maryland, doing my usual workout, there was a brand new trainer who showed up. And this young man was a former Marine. Now, He walks in and he literally might as well have a board for a back. I mean, the posture was insane, absolutely crazy. And so I walked up to him and I said, I want your posture. I know that you had to get beaten to death and whatever in the Marine Corps training, and you've been to Fallujah and God knows where else in the Middle East. And he was very funny. And so he said, if you really want to know the easiest way to do this, I said, please, I'm all ears. He said, do this. And he just looked straight ahead. And I said, all right, I'm looking straight ahead. You see, what you're not doing is looking down. And in the Marine Corps, if you're not looking straight ahead, somebody's going to be on your case. So I practiced it. And it's the most magical thing I've ever seen because if you're looking straight ahead, you're in neutral spine. And so everything settles down into a really great posture by doing only one thing, looking straight ahead. And I love watching people walk by. First of all, their heads are in their damn, iPhones or whatever. There's that going on. Or they're staring at the ground. What's so interesting about the ground? I think it's just kind of where your head floats, but it's so bad for your neck. When you do that, you're taking on for every inch that you're bending forward, and most people bend forward about 6 inches, right? You're taking on at least another 6 to 8 pounds of pressure on your neck. So you do the math. That's a terrible thing on your neck. And then, of course, you break neutral spine, and then you're in a lot of trouble. So I'm like a posture policewoman. I'm walking. Look
Well,
straight
I feel
ahead.
like posture is one of those heavy hitters. It's not like a sexy thing to talk about, but it really has such an impact. And I love what you said about core because a lot of people think core and they think crunches and they forget about the whole back half of their core. So I actually would love to hear if you have any favorite core exercises or core practices that you would recommend that everyone do. Maybe we'll start there.
It's such a great question, Amanda. Um, what I love to do, I've done every single kind of complex, wild and crazy weightlifting thing and all the rest of it, and over the years. And you know what I've really concluded? Keep it simple, will you please? Like let's not just, like I need to spend $5,000 on a corner cable unit, and then I'm going to take ropes and do. No, stop it. First of all, I'm into body weight exercises. Now, I have a very complex gym myself. I've got a lot of stuff in there, and that's just because you know, I'm at a different level. But when I've actually helped people, this is what I say. Go get a nice, comfortable mat, kind of thick guy, not one of those yoga things. I mean, just something with a little thickness to it. I like those blue mats that you can buy almost all those sporting goods stores. They're fairly cheap. And then lay on your back. And here's how simple it is. You literally lay on your back and you put your arms, right, behind your neck. And then you simply lift up about 30 degrees. And that's it. You lift up 30 degrees. Meanwhile, the rest of your body is completely flat on the ground. Your legs aren't bent, nothing. Your body is completely flat. And so the only thing moving is the upper part of the body. And of course, your head is just going. The way I like to look at it is there's a string right here, and you're being pulled from the ceiling so that you're not doing this. You're continuing to keep it nice and straight. Now, here's the catch. Once you get here, what you want to do is hold it. Okay. So there's like a little thing to it. I can't stand watching people go 1, 2, 3. He's like, what are you doing? You're completely wasting my time and yours. All right. So why don't we just, add a little bit more to it, a little more oomph, and let's see how long you could actually hold it up there. You could mess around. You could come up with your own little timing. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. You see what I'm saying? And then when your head comes back, you just touch. Like, oh, good, I can just relax now. No, that's not happening. What you're doing is you touch, and then we come back up so that you're maintaining tension at all times. And it's what people don't understand, and I actually learned this when I was a power lifter, which I had no business doing since I'm too tall for that, but that's okay. It did not stop me. What I learned was that a little bit is extremely powerful. Just a little bit. So just that little, that crazy squeeze and holding that tension. Oh my gosh. And then you could feel it in your belly. My gosh, you could actually feel it tense up and it's like, whoa. And then after doing X number of, however you're doing your sets, I mean, you could do 3 sets of whatever and back and forth, you should feel a lot of burning going on in those abs. That's how simple it is. That literally is how simple it is. Everything else you do with core now, here's the nice thing with core. In everything you do in weightlifting, whether you are doing a plank on the floor, right? Whether you're doing a side plank, a regular plank, whether you're doing push-ups, whatever, guess what you're doing? What are the 2 words we say? Engage core.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do, you're always working core. How could you possibly do any of these, maneuvers in physical activity without honoring your core? It's impossible. So if I'm standing up and doing a biceps curl, right? What am I doing? I'm paying attention to my posture. Are my legs, how are my legs positioned? Do I have a little bit of a bend in the knees just to kind of hold, greater power and stability, right? And at the same time as I'm actually doing the biceps curl itself, what am I doing? I'm actually engaging core constantly, constantly, constantly. So it's not just that it's like, all right, we've done one exercise, we've engaged core, we're done. No, it never leaves you. But that simple little mat exercise is literally my go-to. I do 50 to 100 of those a day.
I have a question about those, and they're just to go back to that is my immediate response is, oh, I've got to keep my back out of it because right away I'm going, I know that I have a tendency to get that back engaged when I'm really trying to do the core. So what is your technique for keeping out of your back?
Well, when you do that, you press your back into the mat and it feels fantastic. Especially if you have a nice cushy mat. But, when you're actually coming up, what's happening is I'm here, my back is literally being forced into the mat. And honestly, one of the reasons why I love doing that very simple exercise is because it makes my back feel so good. So while my abs are getting strengthened, my back is like, yeah, bring it on. So it's kind of like I get a win-win out of this.
Okay, great. Because I remember when I decided I can't do leg lifts anymore because of the back. But so it's really technique. You've got to really be focused on not letting muscles take over when they're not supposed to be. And that's a big part of what you're talking about.
Oh, there's no question about it. And also, I love to diversify. I do Pilates, and most of the Pilates I do is mat work. Every now and then I check in with my Pilates teacher, and then of course we'll use the reformer. But most of the stuff is just done with mat work. And something that might feel really good to you are the glute bridges,
Yes.
because oh my gosh, it's the best. Most people don't know that the glutes are the biggest muscle in the human body. And they think it's your abs or your back. No, it's not. The glutes are, and you don't have to have something that looks like Beyonce or J Lo, right? I actually have a boy butt. So I, one day I just looked back there, in ballet class, and I was a little girl. I said, how come everyone else has a little something? I don't. I just was born like a little boy, with a kind of, well, I mean, there's something there. There's no question. I have built it. It's just not big in terms of like, I don't have a lot of fat there at all. I just have muscle. It is very funny. But glute bridges are probably one of the best things you could possibly do. Once again, what are you doing? As soon as you bring yourself up, right? Aren't you engaging core? Of course you are. No question about it. And then as you're bringing yourself down again and just touching for a moment, bring yourself back up again, and then come out with that little, timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the 4, 5, 6 is the hold, or you can go longer. I don't know, whatever works best for you, one way or the other. And it's a matter of just being consistent, listening to your body. If anything hurts, you stop. That's a no. And back off, figure out what's happening. I also go to yoga. I first learned yoga when I actually, as a runner, because a book came out called Yoga for Runners. Most of the time I just couldn't do the whole yoga class thing. I'm a little too much impatient. I told you patience is a virtue, and I just don't have it. So, but if you gave me meaning and purpose behind this yoga thing, now we're talking. So that's one of the things that helped me with recovery in running was just actually doing some really strategic yoga stretches. And when I did those, then I started poking around the book and started looking for other ways to use yoga to be able to strengthen core, back, balance. I love the balance. Flexibility, so terribly important as it disappears as you get older.
Those are great insights. And again, I really like the low hanging fruit, heavy hitter, like the posture thing, or just the simplicity of that core exercise that I'm going to try as soon as we get off the call and see how I do with it, because it, I mean, I love the simplicity. I so agree. It's like, don't make things complicated. Just keep it simple and be consistent.
There's one exercise I want every woman to learn how to do. Now,
Tell us.
we as women love to multitask. Now, don't we? Right? Aren't we doing like 65 things at one time? And men are like, no, just one thing because it's all we can handle. I'm not going to go there. However, women are multi-talented and multitasking. So it's called the push-up. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. There's 900 ways to do this. You don't have to be doing the full length body push up. That takes a lot if you're not really trained to do that quite yet, or if you have some physical impairment or back and forth. Why am I so into the push up? One, think of the muscles involved. At one time, you can nail no less than upwards of 6 to 7 muscles at least. So you're engaging glutes, engaging core. Hello, right? We got the arms involved. We got the legs involved. I mean, my gosh, it's fantastic. So we get a chance to do one maneuver that just nails it. Number two, why am I so interested in this? To save your life. One day you're going to fall. You'll be all by yourself. There is no front end loader showing up to help you. All right, there you are. Can you get up off the floor? Well, let's think about this. Getting up off the floor is a push-up. Look at what you actually have to do to get up off the floor. And so when you think about it, it's like, you swing yourself around. But in order to do all of that, you have to be pushing up. And so to save your life one day, you need to have the strength to be able to do that, especially if you're injured. You've got a little injury there, you could work around it, potentially. Or at least crawl to some place where you can, get some help or back and forth. But pushing up will save your life. I'm guaranteeing you that. If you happen to be 40 right now, maybe not so much. But if you happen to be 60, 70, or greater, oh yeah. Now, how do you do that? You could just start with something very simple. If your legs are okay and back and forth, but you've never done a push up before, you need upper body strength. There's no question about it. So, how about we just work on it? So, instead of doing a full on push up with straight legs and all that stuff, just do a bent knee push up. Just bend your knees. Sometimes you can cross your legs behind the bent knees or, whatever works best for you. And then, obviously do it on a mat so that your knees have a little bit of padding. And then up and down you go. And do you have to hammer out 65 right away? What are you, crazy or something? I'm all about form. I'm like a nutcase about form. If I see someone doing something with terrible form and they're just like hammering it out, I'll walk right on over, right? And I'll say, listen, let me just inform you. You're about ready to get very injured. Don't do that. That's a bad thing. All right. And it's because I care and I happen to be an expert, and stop that right now. Okay. Now let me show you what to do. So you start with that bent knee push up. And then, you could start out, just do really great form. By the way, if you don't have a trainer, if you don't have somebody right there to help you, YouTube is awesome. It's everywhere. Yeah. So you can see some really good form on YouTube. And my goodness, we have such great resources now. So, you know, what if you just simply did 3 that were just perfect? Ah, okay. And then you just rest for a minute. Congratulations. You just entered the world of push ups. Do you ever have to do a straight leg push up? Of course not. If you want to, rock on. But you don't have to at all. Because if you were on your knees, that's exactly what you're going to do when you fall anyway, right? So you're going to immediately get up on your knees, and there you are pushing up off the floor to be able to save yourself. It's all the same. Now, some people really have a lot of physical, impairments. You could do push-ups off the wall. So you just situate your legs far enough from the wall and then bend into the wall and then do your push-ups from the wall. You see, there are lots of different ways to be able to work around this. I highly recommend, obviously, getting a certified trainer if you really want to know how a lot of these things, really uh, can help you benefit your own strength training. And I always love a certified trainer. And there are some great ones around in community centers, gyms, and the rest of it.
So good. Again, the simplicity, the push up. Do 3 push ups, at a wall, on your knees. It doesn't matter. It's just moving towards that goal of being able to push yourself up, which is so important, not just for the multitasking strength aspect of it, but also just for the life, it's an important life skill or
Exactly. And there's adaptations to all of this and modifications. You just have to have the right people to guide you, no matter what happens, and just keep it going. It's so interesting. We're all 3 of us are women, and we know how it goes, right? So we have this pair of jeans that we've worn for a while. It's like so awesome. It's just the best pair of jeans, right? As the years go on, we use that as our acid test. Can we still get in these suckers? And can we zip it up, button it up, or whatever's going to be going on, right? And if you can't, we know why, right? So that means that, there has to be a little course correction here, to be able to, keep this party going. I do that with push-ups. So I say to myself, I've been able to do X number of straight leg push-ups for years, right? And then what I do is, as I continue my training, I see if I can continue the same number as best I can, one way or the other. And I think that, that is something that I love to do because it gives me basically something where I'm trending. I can see my trend over time. And one of the things I notice, very interesting, is that although I can do a full leg push up now, I mean, I obviously have been doing it for years. Um, my wrists sometimes are a little more painful now. Just a little bit of arthritis, as we say, a skosh of arthritis. And so there's actually some really cool little tools that you can use that twist and turn on the mat that take the pressure off the wrist so you can do your planks and you could do your push-ups. And I found those to be very, very helpful. It's just so interesting. Yet the rest of my body's fine. So as you get older, stuff happens. And you can't have an expectation that you're going to have exactly the same body experience as you had when you were 20 or even 30 or even 40 because, you know, you're basically accumulating wear and tear. And that's fine. I'm with the Senior Olympics. I'm watching people who are 70 and 80 who overcome all kinds of obstacles. They adapt and adjust. And then they get world records in track and field and swim and all the rest of it. It's like, well, yeah, I do have that little, issue. Yeah, arthritis, I'm used to that stuff. And they just work through it. It's kind of what I do. So that's just a very gentle way of saying you will have an owie. Guaranteed, honey. No one escapes the owie.
That's such a good part of your message to for our community, which is, hey, adapt, modify, do. Just do anything. And we're all working on that. And I think your message is so perfect for that.
Yeah, and again, going back to recovery again, recovery is everything. It's your entire body. I mean, I even recover my face, and this is another, a Therabody thing that I use on my face. It's my little deep puffer. Can you see my puff? There is no puff.
There
Okay.
is no puff. You
Oh
are
my gosh,
puffer.
the cool on it's like ice. I keep it right here on my desk and I use it the entire day. And what I'm simply telling you is that um, it's about not just as it were, and I mentioned a beauty item from Therabody, of which they have, I mean, just countless. But it's a gift to myself. I worked out hard. I've had maybe a long day, with my professional work and back and forth. It's so interesting how just a simple little gesture with a tiny little tool like this, just sort of does it. It's fascinating the way that works. And I never fully appreciated that until I had a chance to actually work with the tools. This is a reason why I'm so happy to be on the scientific advisory board at Therabody. One, I'm an evidence-based scientist. And so the fabulous research and innovation team, um, has partnered with high-tier universities in looking at and studying the efficacy of these tools. That means everything to me because I'm recommending this, on my own podcast, here on this beautiful podcast, in multimedia. And I love the fact that I'm backed up by superb scientists and science at Therabody. At the same time, I'm all about pushing fitness, mind body fitness, and taking care of yourself. And recovery is integral to that. Getting that whole message out there to a new legion of women, especially, who are just beginning their journey and want to have some simple guidelines about how to really pay attention to oneself as you're beginning to use that marvelous, beautiful, gorgeous body of yours.
I love that. How to pay attention to yourself, because I think that's something that a lot of women, you know, will just sort of ignore what our body is telling us and keep pushing through. So I think that's just, it's such an important message. And I know that we have to wrap our time up. But I just feel like there were such clear, simple, actionable takeaways for women to, in their recovery, in their fitness, in their strength. And that last insight of pay attention to yourself. Again, it's so simple, but it's so important. Yeah, just as we wrap up, I know you have your own podcast. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Okay, I mean, you could go to my website, which is obviously Peeke.com. That's Peeke, all E's, .com. You can also go to Dr. Pam Peeke YouTube, and there you can see all of the audio-visual of her podcasts, which is great. And you could also go to Dr. Podcasting to hear just the audio. So we have a lot of different options for people, one way or the other. And, it's just important for everyone out there, again, to just take it slowly, gradually, have the one thing I don't have, patience, right? I'm working on it. It's a lifelong journey here. But seriously, to be very patient, self-compassionate. All right. There's none of this, I'm so stupid, I'm so ugly, I'm so whatever. Stop that right now. And that's an order, a stat order from me, Dr. Pam Peeke. I'm telling you, self compassion, lead with self compassion. I love myself. I forgive myself. I'm going to push forward. I'm simply going to do the best I can. And I'm going to do it with kindness in my heart toward me, for a change.
So inspirational. Thank you, Dr. Peak. We have so much more to talk about, and hopefully we will get a chance to follow up with this conversation. It was just stunningly inspirational.
And you could also read my books. I have 3 New York Times bestsellers. My latest one was The Hunger Fix, which was the relationship between food and addiction. So, all that nasty stuff out there, the ultra processed stuff. Yep, it's addictive. Body for Life for Women was one of my biggest of all. And that was when I was the first woman physician to appear on the cover of of a consumer book with my stethoscope around my neck, wearing a workout outfit, and basically pushing strength training in women. This is before it became sexy. And I was like, no. And so it became a thing. And I'm so happy about that. So in the new book that will be coming out, I'm going to be talking about taking that to a new level based upon all the exciting new science that's coming out. So, more about that in 2026.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Peak. It's been just wonderful speaking with you, and we look forward to speaking with you again, hopefully.
Fantastic. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.